Hello, I'm Simon Barnes, and I have the great honour and pleasure of being the guest judge for the Keats-Shelley Poetry Prize and the Young Romantics Poetry Prize, and for the second year running, so I'm doubly honoured. Contestants were asked to write poems on the theme of the words on Keats's tombstone, enigmatic to say the least, writ in water. Well, we're all writ in water, and for that matter, we all write in water. For even in the 21st century, we must sometimes commit ourselves to hard copy. But it's not all that hard. It takes 10 litres of water to make a single sheet of A4. And we humans are not set in stone like Ozymandias. Our bodies are about 60% water, our brains are 73% water, and even our bones are about 31% water. We spend the first 9 months of our existence as wholly aquatic animals, swimming in the vast sea of our mother's wombs. No life is possible without water, but water's not restricted to our own planet. Water's been found in the atmosphere of the sun and of many of the planets of the solar system. And also 10 years ago, a cloud was discovered in space around a quasar 10 million light years away. And it contains 140 trillion times the amount of water in all the oceans of the Earth. Back on Earth, ritual washing in water is part of Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, Judaism, Taoism, and Rastafarianism. Water brings us life. For a week when I was a wild hippie rampaging around Europe, I filled every day my water bottle from the fountain in the Piazza di Spagna, about 10 yards walk from Keats's house. Water keeps us alive, but it also kills us. A year after Keats's death in 1821, Shelley was drowned in a boating accident. His body was found with a copy of Keats's poems in his pocket, and the covers were doubled back as if he was expecting to return to the poems as soon as he had a spare moment. No wonder that we write about water. Water is life and water is death. In the wasteland there is a soul-deep longing for water, and there's also a drowning. In Ulysses, the first 3 chapters are all full of water and the Protean sea, and also the Protean nature of a poet striving for greatness. So let's turn to our own poets and see what they have writ in water. In the adults competition, the runners-up were Victor Tapner with a measured and vivid Letters from Manuela about the mystery of pen on page, and Sam Garvin with an unexpected and thrillingly ambiguous piece about Actaeon, the classical figure who turned into a stag and was torn apart by his own hounds. But the winner is Katrina Naomi for her poem on and in the kelp forest. I love this one from the first line, and found, as happens with all the best poems, that every time you reread it, the poem got better. It takes us beneath the surface into an alien place where, even though breathing is quite impossible, its mysterious beauties make it quite irresistible. To be both young and romantic, could anyone bear to go through it twice? But this twin state has produced some fine poetry, and the runners-up in the Young Romantics competition are Shay Fallon with Born Under Scorpio, and she goes into the amniotic dawn of existence and the vastness of the universe, while in Reverberations, Sung Cho considered water, earth and life as viewed from the viewless wings of poesy. The winner of the Young Romantics Poetry Prize is Eustacia Feng for A Craftsman's Tale, above all for its exuberant imagery, particularly in the first 2 stanzas. I especially loved the enigmatic person who gleaned a speck of moon dust and hid it in his pocket for his sweetheart. The 2 essay competitions were, as always, something of a call to order, a reminder to engage the logical and narrative-loving parts of our brains, as well as those parts that respond as though of hemlock we had drunk. Runners-up in the adults competition were Zena Wolfe with Lyrical Tales and Lyrical Ballads, which compared Coleridge with the then much more famous writer and actor Mary Robinson, and Jai Rain with the soundscape of childhood in Coleridge's lyric poetry, with an examination of his vision of infancy, which is far less highfalutin than that of Wordsworth. The prize goes to Nicola Jackson for Morning Shadows, the influence of John Keats on the poetry of John Tyndall. Tyndall was a polymath, a primordial climate scientist who discovered the greenhouse effect, and he also worked out why the sky is blue. Tyndall makes it clear that science doesn't destroy art and beauty and wonder. Understanding the nature of light does not, after all, unweave the rainbow, as Keats had feared. The young romantics' essays investigated adversity. The runners-up were Clemmy Reid with some adroit wordplay in A Bower Quiet, and Katie Saunders with Finding Solace in the Sublime, which looked for comfort in hard times. The winner is Finn Smythe for Touchstones of the Heart, which centres on Keats' heroic Highland height, in which he took on considerable and perhaps in the end lethal hardships in the search for meaning. So, thanks to everyone who entered, thanks to everyone at the Keats-Shelley Memorial Association, and thanks especially to my fellow judges who had a job that was even harder than my own. Water rises from the ground, from the oceans, and it's lifted from deep in the earth by the trees. Once up in the air it forms clouds and falls again as rain and snow, only to rise again. We are all writ in water. So let us end with the final lines of Finnegan's Wake, as the river finally meets the sea. Away, alone, a last, a loved, along the